Hey guys, Jeff here, and today I'm installing a sink in my new kitchen. This is a stainless steel drop-in sink from Kohler, and I'm going to teach you everything you need to know so you can install this yourself. Cheers. So let's just introduce this beast. I got myself a great big single sink. All right. It comes with this protective film on it, which for me right now is in the way. So I got to lose this. There we are. Now, the reason we did all that is because I need to trace this out. Hey. We're going to set it in place upside down. I have to measure not just this wood, but there's a piece of trim in behind it. All right. The only way to do this properly is literally put this on the countertop and then slide forward until I hit something. And then I can measure this way. I am 1.5 inches will clear, plus my overhang of 1 1/8 inches. 2 5/8 will clear. So we're gonna go 2 3/4, just to be safe. This is the lip, it sits on top of the counter. This track is where your clamps go. So we're gonna measure from here to 2 3/4. All right, right to the edge. That's 2 3/4. This is pretty darned exact science. Okay, and now we're gonna see if I got any room in the back. Wow. So my issue here is that I need to cut a line on this side of that track, right over here. So I literally have to cut a hole between somewhere around 3/4 of an inch. In a perfect world, I want to have it right here. That's the center. We have to center the sink. Yeah, there's my center line on my sink. Okay. Now the secret is to line these two up. So I'm going to find my laser level for that. So I've got 1.5 inches of countertop. But I really only need to get the depth of the actual countertop. I don't have to go any deeper, because this needs to sit inside below the edge of that countertop. But I don't have anything going to actually be coming in contact with that structural support. So I want to leave that. We're going to tape this off. Okay, first thing I do is I actually trace the outside, and then we measure off. Make sure that is perfect. Now we're going to trace this onto the tape. Give or take, that isn't really going to matter too much, because we're actually going to cut the back first and then set the sink in and double check all of our measurements. So there's my line. All right. Now, if everything I do, I gotta consider this is the finished countertop. I don't want to cut exactly what I just marked. I don't want to cut here, because this has to be recessed. I want to cut here. This line is where I want to cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure off where I want to cut. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I literally want to cut 1/4 inside that line. I'm going to end up with a cut line right here because of that saw. So right now my tracing is a full 1/2 inch off. Okay, I'm just squaring off. All right, so I've got myself on my cut line and over here, so I'm square. So we're just going to trace this out now where the saw blade actually goes. Okay, and we're going to push this back. That little bit of an edge here. That's all I got to play with. It's 1/4 inch. So there's my shape. This side is really short. This side has got a little bit more mercy. So let's take advantage of its hospitality. All right. Hey, let's get this out of here now. All right, there we go. How am I going to cut that round? Now this is going to create a little extra work for me, but let's see if we can line up the radius of that turn. Yeah, that does a really nice job. Okay, so if I drill out all 4 corners first, then I'm in really good shape. Then I'm not going to have a problem because I can get my drill in here, and then I can just straight cut the rest. Problem solved. Here we go. We're going to go on the drill function, line it up on the arrow, and wow. I got to get right over top. All right, now the secret here is to be able to see right over top of that bit. Get that radius perfect. Get the bit set in the wood so it doesn't run on you. And then hold tight and try to keep this as perpendicular to the counter as possible. You don't want to be drilling on an angle or it'll throw you. And I'm liking that. All right, let's pick up some speed now. Now, you're going to notice, because we're dealing with laminated wood, there's a lot of glues involved in this. Now, look what happens to your bit. This is all glue. An adhesive buildup. Builds up on the teeth, gums up, okay? And then you can't get any more grab. So every little bit that you drill, take it out and clean the teeth. In this situation, you drill, put it in reverse. And that should clean the teeth for you, okay? So you can drill forward and then reverse to clean it off. Here we are, all right. That was painless. Let's go see how we did with that hole. Very nice. Not too much burning at all. That's really good core. All right, that's the process. We do it 3 more times. All righty. Core number 4. There we go. So we're just going to set up our saw now, and of course this is a no battery zone, all right? And we're going to set the core right on the table. Get to the deepest spot. Make sure that your blade is going to be just a 1/16 longer than the material, okay? This will be for the first run. Now, because of the nature of the saw, the blade is round, when it gets over here, it's going to be cutting like this, and it won't finish the cut all the way through. So you're going to see, I'm going to set the blade here, and I'm going to cut by moving the saw backwards for you. All right, you'll be able to see what happens to this hole. I'm going to keep an eye on the blade so that it doesn't make contact on this side. And I'm going to try to cut all the way back through without making contact over here. Now, here we go. Okay, there's our line. Okay, so you can see the cut is not all the way through here. So I've got to take my orbital and finish that cut there. And on the other end, I'm actually shy. This shouldn't be any problem. Always let the jigsaw finish moving before you lift it in case it catches something. You can put a hole in your countertop. That always sucks. Now, I think I can get the same thing here. I got my orbital saw in case. Yeah. My orbital saw, my God. I meant my oscillating tool. Okay, that was very successful. Get it fully extended. I'm gonna like that. Yeah, I think I got it. Beautiful, that is done and done. Here's my concern. The glaze on the tile might actually get damaged running the saw blade along it. All right. So we're gonna add a layer of protection here. And glaze is great for washing, but it is not durable when you rub metal up against it. The only thing we don't have here is protection to keep the countertop from collapsing. Okay? This is an issue. So we're gonna take our couple of 2-inch screws, attach it to our countertop. There. There we go. Okay. Now we can finish the cut. Okay. This is actually probably somewhat dangerous. All right. Let's get the dust off this first. All right. Here we go. Well, we did a little bit of a job on that, eh? Now it's time to find out if the sink fits. Oh, talk about committed, eh? You got the countertop, you got the tile done, and all the finishing work, and now we're gonna find out if the sink fits. That's fun. First thing I gotta do though, is I've gotta cut all the existing drain out of the way because it was set up for a double sink. I'm gonna rerun that plumbing later. Today I'm just gonna get in here and cut this off. Nice and square, just above the clean out, and get my hand straight across. Okay, I'm gonna hold the bottom and keep it still. I'm using a metal blade. All right, so this is just a whole series of compression fittings. I'm just gonna throw this out. We'll start from scratch. And again, I'm gonna have to add an air vent because there's no venting in these buildings. But I'm gonna try to bring my air vent up as close to the top as possible, so that even when the sink is full of water, there's fresh air pouring in behind it, in case it gets backed up, right? Ugh. Nasty, man. Time for the pièce de résistance. Now we find out if this fits. Okay. Whew. Look how perfectly, right on those black lines, just a little bit of wiggle room. That is absolutely amazing. Okay, so we're just gonna use my knife here. Deburr. All right, and then set this little test cap inside the pipe. And that will give it an air seal until we're ready to rebuild. All right, now you're not gonna have sewer gases coming in your home. So I've got clear and I've got white. I'm gonna have to use white along the back. I don't have a choice. All right, so we got that. I need a knife. All right, here we go. And we gotta do a little bit of assembly. We've got the strainer, and over here, we got the clips. And this comes with instructions. So here's the instructions from Kohler. Position your sink upside down, trace it out, trace another line 1/4 inch inside the traced line, pre-drill, cut with a jigsaw, drop in the sink, then drop in the faucet, accessories, and then you clamp it down, all right? Now, slide the clips into the track, blah, 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 yeah, all around the sink. And then it says apply 100% silicone sealant around the underside of the sink rim. And then they want 100% silicone sealant around the rim and immediately wipe away excess sealant. Yeah, okay. Well, that's the way they want it done. That's not the way I'm doing it. All right, here we go. So before we go to the next step, we're gonna look at this step. Now, here's the deal. The reason we went in the order of finishing with our wax and oil first is because we do have to silicone the counters in. Back in the old days, we use this, plumber's putty, okay? Or the sink would come with a gasket, and it was like a peel and stick almost, right? Now, I don't know why they're making everything so bloody exact. Like, it really isn't necessary. They could make this overhang just a little bit more, but this bar here actually acts like a structural support. So it's actually really strong. It doesn't have much deflection at all in it. So when you get your screws in there, it generally keeps tight. And they mentioned they want 3 across the front, 2 on each side, and 3 across the back. 3, 6, 10, and the package only comes with 6, of course, so I'm gonna have to go back to the store and buy a second package. Whatever. But here's my problem. So you take your plumber's putty, and you act like a kid again, okay? And you roll it out. And you make your own gasket. Too thick here. All right, and you can take your gasket, and you can set it right there. So what we're trying to do is make a waterproof seal for this sink, right? Because you don't want water getting in underneath, especially if you have Formica. Because Formica, man, when it gets wet, look out. But even with butcher block, and I'll tell you why, because it's layers of wood, right? And it's got adhesives. And when adhesive gets wet, it loses its bond. Now you make this gasket, and you make it so that you have to under compression with the screw, and you get it in place. And the reason I like this more, even though it's a lot more work, is because when you put silicone on here and you put your sink in, you're in the wrong spot. And then you gotta wiggle it around, right? Well, now you're pushing the silicone everywhere. Well, do you really even have a bond anymore by the time you get in the final resting place? And that's why they say, put the silicone, put it in, and then come back with another bead of silicone. I'm like, it looks like crap. There's nothing worse than a drop-in sink that has silicone everywhere. So, you do the finish in case you gotta rely on some silicone, because if you do the silicone on the wood before it's finished, it'll stain. And then you'll have a silicone line on your wood. And that'll drive you nuts too. Okay, so we run this thin enough that we can put it in without having to tighten the screws and squeeze it all out. All right. And once we're ready to install, we'll do the silicone and we'll drop the sink in at the same time. Because there won't be anything else moving around after that. Okay. Hoorah! I'm going to install the basket strainer first because I don't want to do that afterwards, and I'd rather do it while I'm standing up versus underneath the sink. And this piece here, I'm going to leave attached because I'm probably going to need that for the connection later. But here is the basket strainer assembly. Okay, so we got the ring, we got our cardboard, and we got our rubber gasket, right? Now, let's take a look at this. Oh, it's super thin. Yeah, this goes on the underside. So again, we need a gasket. Yeah, let's do it this way. Across the corner. We got good contact. Yeah, we're gonna be good here. All right. Okay. Now we do need the foam, and we do need the cardboard, and then we put on the ring. And we go over backwards until you feel it sit. There it is. Then you go forward. Now the reason the cardboard is there, it's actually there because the metal on the rubber, it'll bind, and it'll go like this. And it'll make a little squeezy loop like that under pressure, because their threads are on an angle, and this is flat. So it ends up putting an uneven amount of pressure on the gasket. The cardboard is so that it can slide without binding when you start to build up pressure. Okay, we just go like this, and then we check the position on the inside. Here, let me just show you this. All right. Okay. Be conscious of this issue. This is going to slide around. You want to have it right in the middle, not all to one side, because it'll look odd. All right, and then you just keep on giving this a crank. Okay, watch the position while you're turning it. Oh yeah, baby. I like to crank this until I see putty come out from all the way around, but you don't always get that exact equal share. There we go. Oh yeah, that looks real good. Okay, now, oh, that looks like crap. You can see the putty. Okay, don't use a knife, but you can use a screwdriver here. All right. Okay, guys. Now, almost ready. Remember what I said. We got a gasket across the back. We got our gasket over here now, right? Now we're gonna have to do the silicone work. Okay. Well, we're good. So I've got tape across the front where my 1-inch overhang is. Okay. I'm gonna take my sink now and set it up right here, because before we add the silicone to the front, we got to install our faucet. And this is going to be key. I want to do all of this difficult work while we're standing up, because if we can do it here and set it all in, then we don't have to land underneath the sink with 2 tools and messing around, right? So here's an opportunity to work smart instead of hard. Might as well take it. All right. It's polished. This and that, the other thing. Okay. Got installation tools. Got the weight for underneath. And I've got this and that, the other thing. Here it is. Okay. So here's all of our parts that we need for this installation. This is quick and simple. Amazing. Maybe I should read the instructions, but I'm pretty much smart enough to figure this out. Okay, so we got to feed this from the top down the pipe, because the other end isn't big enough. There we go. Okay, and we are going to leave it. I'm going to leave this part of the assembly until after I've got it installed. That's already enough things to get through that hole at one time. And I don't want to risk damaging this while I'm blind. If this gets nicked, then this automatic shut off, the automatic connection may not work. Like one little scratch, right? So we'll do that later. We're going to install this. We're going to need this little hat channel. It'll go this way. That will fit in there like that. And that'll be the gasket seal between this and the sink. So obviously, if you're right-handed, you want this on the right. Most people put this on the right. Generally speaking, the brand name is labeled to be facing you, okay? They like to brand everything in the room. This will swivel, so it doesn't really matter, but this assembly here is important. So we want to have this Moen's sign facing forward with the handle parallel to the sink, right? So we install these lines, and then this line, and then this, making sure that the hot gasket is sitting in the right position, making sure that our handle is in a good spot. We only get to do this assembly once, okay? Now you'll see this fancy washer here. The idea here is this will go over top of that, and then all these other lines will be in a comfortable position. Okay, there we are. Okay, then you have this nut, it goes on here, go backwards until it catches. And then we spin for 4 hours. I'm not even sure why we do that. But. All right, now we're at the point where we got to be paying attention. If I'm pushed to one side, there's actually a gap that appears. So you want to have the hoses right up against the countertop. And then this tool is then used to give you the torque. So we want to have this perfect position. Okay, look off the side. There we go. And if you need extra power, I'm going to just hold this assembly here and turn my nut and create that compression. Okay. This is a great way to 10x your strength. So ladies, if you're doing this at home and you don't feel like you're good with a wrench, trust me, this is something that you can do. Okay? This will start to twist. This will sit still. This will start to twist. Because it's made of plastic, that's how you know it's tight enough. Done. All right, and now we can put on the second one. There we go. Okay, now we can feed our hose. All right, through the neck. Should be just a quick connect here. Take the cap off. So this is a cover. It's designed to protect the plastic and the rubber washer here from getting damaged or scratched or nicked while you're doing the install. And it's just there, it's got a little round head, makes it a lot easier to feed it through. Now that's on the other side, the first thing you want to do is do the quick connect. Okay, so now the hot and cold lines, which are marked. You see how it's marked here? Hot? That's in an odd spot, because after you put it in, you have to crawl underneath to take a look up to find it, right? If it is down here by the connection, it would make a lot more sense, but you got electrical tape, you can mark the hot. If you don't, grab the cold water line and mark it with your blue masking tape, okay? Now you'll know when you go to make your connections. You don't have to go crazy, all right? That is good enough for me and where I live. Good, that doesn't come out. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Here's one other thing. We should probably put this on while we're thinking about it. In the bottom of the sink, you want this weight to split the difference. I'm sure that that yellow tape there is for a reason. There we go, okay? So when it's upside down, this is what pulls the faucet tight, all right? For us, we're good like that. We're good, we're good, we're good. Everything is tight, everything's secure. We'll attach the top of the faucet in a minute. Now we're ready to add the clear silicone across the front of this sink. Let's switch our product line up. Same thing. You want to cut it on an angle. This is actually a cutting blade. Cut that on an angle. okay? And just like we did with the clear, I mean the white, just like we did with the white. I really should wipe that off, but we'll penetrate the seal. We'll squeeze a little bit out, make sure that we're good. And this will be here on purpose. Make sure clear, huh? I hope it dries clearer than it looks right now. All right, here we go. We're going to throw a nice healthy bead on here because we want to make sure that we get contact. Double check. When we're painting, less is more. When you're siliconing, more is more, okay? We're going to be fine. We've got our tape line. We can wipe up and clean up as we go. Now we pop this bad boy in. Okay. That was an awful lot of work just to get to this one moment. Okay. So our gases are all going to be engaged. We want to make sure that we get the right location. Not on the tape. And our center line, just a hair off. That's just really lousy, but hey. Okay. Victory. Now, what I was talking about earlier is putting the weight in the sink to make sure that I get good bond here. Here we go. Here's 50 pounds. There's another 40 pounds, give or take. All right. So in the pail, I have a soapy water solution. All right. I'm using this just to wipe off the excess silicone. I'm going to toss this rag when I'm done. There we go. Just want to double check the depth of the sink here now. Definitely are in a perfect location. Okay, so I'm using a rag just in case it's sharp. Okay. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan. I think I got some black marker on that earlier when I was tracing it all out. Bummer. All right, there we go. Now, as far as this is concerned, I'm going to go underneath there and I'm going to add all of these clips. So I'm going to do one for the camera. I'll go underneath there and reach up and tighten this one, and you'll see the pressure. And as I'm tightening, hopefully we'll see more of this gasket squeezing out. And that'll confirm that we've got a nice tight seal here in the corner. Now the trick with this, of course, is get the tooth where you need to have it, and then get that slotted screwdriver on the end of that screw the way you want it. Had to buy a sink but as big as I could bloody fit in the cabinet. Now I'm paying the price, eh? Okay, I've got it. We're gonna put some pressure on it now, okay? Hopefully we get some really good compression. Okay, here we go. All right, let's take a look at how that looks to the countertop. There we go. That's a perfect seal. Now I've got one right here in this corner. I'm going to the hardware store. I'm buying an extension for my drill and a slot head screwdriver and a magnet bit, and I'm going to get down there and connect the rest of those. I'm also going to buy a pair of long nose pliers. This is a really deep well, and I've really pinched myself in a few spots. So what I'm going to do is have this screw with a pair of long nose pliers with a 1.5-foot drill bit, so I can stick it up with the pliers and then slide that drill bit in and then, because I'm getting too old for this. Yeah, I hate to admit it, but that was not comfortable. All right. Well, I'm going to let this dry overnight underneath the weight before I go and connect the rest of these, because it is a little bit of fussing around and I don't want to have things moving while this is set up and drying. Okay?